seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, here we go, the Monday Club. I hope everyone's good. Yes, it's that's about the 50th time I've heard that theme song this weekend, Jonathan alone. And I thought I'd heard it many a times before, but the Boyce'S bus has been flying over the weekend. Not quite so much as Angie's 11 right now, who are on fire, Jonathan. It was a brilliant day Saturday. We've got another huge night tomorrow to talk about. We'll be back doing some PMP for that in the late hours of Tuesday evening, hopefully celebrating another incredible display, which really would be the biggest marker of them all. But Jonathan, tonight we can look ahead to tomorrow, and we will be doing so at great length. But I suppose as well, I mean, see, when I think about it, Jonathan, I'm like, we spoke about it on Saturday on PMP post-match push. The Sunday blether occurred with Phil, Mark and Regan. They spoke about it. At the end of the Sunday session, spoke about it. But I just think we can talk about that 4-0 dribbling one more time. Why the hell not? Good evening, everyone who's jumped on the Boyce'S bus already. Over 60 have already hopped on the bus live right now. Tickets, please. Jonathan, how the devil are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm all the better after that scintillating performance I was treated to on Saturday. 4 goals, an outstanding team effort, a Freddie Mercury-esque celebration as another team bites the dust at Celtic Park. Let's hope for more of the same tomorrow evening.
Good start, Jonathan. You had that written down, you wee bastard. You must have, me. That's pre-planned. There's no danger he just came up with that off the...
That's the Hugh Keevans are right in the script before I come on. I've had all weekend to think of that.
I love it, mate. I know that was good though. I enjoyed that. But yeah, it was a fantastic result. Saturday is the absolute perfect scoreline, and more importantly, performance that we could have put in when you're going into welcoming, from Rangers to Real, because that's what it is. I know they're called Real Madrid, but we all have debates over whether that's the real Rangers. So I thought Rangers to Real, Jonathan, was a funny way to describe it, because this is a real footballing team that we play though tomorrow night, and we will be looking ahead to that. But let's look at Saturday first and foremost. Where did it all go right for you on Saturday, Jonathan, now that the dust is settled? We've spoke on the bus already about certain individuals. We've spoke about the fact that the ball boys are in tandem with the rest of the team and how quickly we're getting the ball back into play. I think the most interesting facet about this Ange team is he fucking tells you, and we're going to talk about that with the Real Madrid game as well. He tells you what he's going to do. There's no hiding place. There's not like a guy there who's resorting to a completely drastic plan B if things aren't going well. He tells you how he's going to play. There's a body of evidence to see how Celtic's going to play as a team under Ange. Yet the biggest question seems to be, how do you actually combat it? How can you deal with it?
Yeah, that seems to be the conundrum that every opposition team that we've faced so far this season hasn't been able to find an answer to what Ange Postecoglou and his team are serving up so far this season. Some really good shows over the weekend. I think they were all summed up very well on post-match pish and Regan Sunday Leather as to where it all went right. I mean, you'd have to echo the sentiments. It was all down to that fast, high intensity that Celtic have become renowned for under Postecoglou, and it really is all the way through the team. And as you rightly say, the ball boys getting involved, getting that ball back into play quickly. I was probably one of the more conservative people on the bus in terms of predictions before the game. I think I even put in the chat before the game kicked off that I wasn't convinced it would be a drubbing. I thought it might have been a bit trickier than it turned out to be. I thought Rangers might have offered up more of a defence. However, with the way Celtic are playing and the way they approached that game, they just blew them away. It was just the pace of it from first minute to last was quite incredible. And I think it even speaks volumes, Russell, when you look at it. And you've got to remember, Kyogo gets injured in the first minute of the game. That causes a good stoppage, a good 4 or 5 minutes are stopped there, where you're kind of having to reassess the team, make the change with Giakoumakis, and that could have easily disrupted the rhythm in the early goings of that game. But as soon as the ball actually got back into play and Giakoumakis came on, Celtic just went and hit the reset button, and it was almost as if that was kickoff again for them, and they just went straight after the throw. And, getting the goal so early, it just set it up to be another one of these memorable occasions. There were so many top performers. I think you'd be struggling to really single anyone out who was played particularly poorly. There was maybe one or two who could have improved, but on the whole, middle to front, I think when you're looking at the midfield all the way through to the front line, every single one of them was pulled their weight, and some of the stuff was simply outstanding. I was really happy, for example, to see that Abada did get the nod ahead of Maeda, because I think that was one that was being debated amongst us as well as many Celtic fans, and I think Maeda was perhaps being tipped to start because of what he offers defensively. But I was so pleased to see Abada go, because it was a show of intent even from the moment that starting lineup was put out there, that Postecoglou was wanting to go and tread on the rivals' throats and really try and stamp on them whilst we had the home advantage. And Abada didn't put a foot wrong, did he? He was absolutely incredible, much like everybody else. And honestly, you could go through the whole team. There was not a single person for me who really let us down at all on Saturday.
No, definitely. It was a team performance, Jonathan, that we put in first and foremost, that was befitting of all Ange's ideologies, philosophies. We need to be at times, it's so hard, because whilst you're in the mood of, you just bring on the next game, we've only got a couple of days in between this Rangers game and the Real Madrid fixture Tuesday, which I think everyone's absolutely buzzing for as well. But you do need to try and take stock sometimes, and just remember how big a change made. I read a stat that the 15 players that featured Jonathan, right, at the weekend, 13 of them were signed by Ange Postecoglou.
Wow.
That's fucking unbelievable. I don't think folk get how big a difference, I'm sure loads of folk do get it, in fact, to be fair. But when you think of that, when are you seeing teams getting completely flipped like that, Jonathan? The whole, it's not even the face of the team, Jonathan, it's the whole backbone of the team. It is the team that's turned around. All he's still got is Cal Mack and Greg Taylor. The whole rest of that, the subs, the starting lineup, he's brought in them all. I just think that's unreal, Jonathan. He's having that sort of an impact. It tells you a few things. He has very much told us the truth, not just about how he's going to line up his team, not about how his style of play is going to be, but when he told us he signs the person, not just the player. I think what he means by that as well is you could have two guys, Jonathan, of this sort of level ability, right? No.
Yeah.
Nothing in it. But which one's better suited to playing this crazy press football that we play? Who's going to be getting me the kilometres on the park? You know what I mean? Who can fit the "we never stop" mantra, if you like? And I think that's where he's been very, very good in the transfer market, Jonathan. I think when you look at that turnaround, I mean, fuck, it's amazing how people could be smart asses now, Jonathan, after the event. Well, oh, we knew he was going to be good. But I'm sorry. I find it hard to believe anyone, Jonathan, could have envisaged us spanking Rangers the way we are when we went into this time last year. At this moment last year, we were on the back of 1-0 defeat at Ibrox, if you remember.
Yep. We watched that in a studio somewhere, I believe, in Dalkeith, from memory.
I vaguely remember that. But there was you threw me off guard now. There was also the exit of the Champions League. So we've exited the Champions League. We've been beaten by our rivals, and within 12 months, we are now smashing Rangers 4-0. There looks to be a gulf. He's got the whole squad turned around. We've now got guys that we've never heard of as well. That's what I like about Postecoglou's signings. Not once are we going for names that, and not, by the way, If the best option for us is a name, then that's absolutely fine. But at no point has he been almost tried to appease people by doing that. I think Celtic tried to appease maybe the fan base by bringing in a James McCarthy, for example. I think that was meant to be, he'd been linked to us for years, and now we finally made it happen. Obviously, Ange needed names. Ange's imagination in the transfer market really, really gets me. So we're looking at guys. How many different corners of the world are they from, Jonathan? What's the demographic like of their age? They're all really young as well. It's such a young team. I just think right now the turnaround that he's done in terms of the personnel is what really gets me. His strike rate in terms of signings, Jonathan, is phenomenal. Right now, I think he got the final two pieces of the jigsaw he wanted. He wanted a holding midfielder. He wanted another forward sort of type player who could play right wing, left wing, probably through the middle as well. And, Hacksaw, as he's been christened, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Neither of them are featuring Saturday. Neither of them feature Tuesday. And yet, we get to the end of a transfer window. We sign a Danish international, a Montenegrin international, both worth a few quid, respectively. And yet, Jonathan, no one's batting an eyelid that these guys cannot get in the squad at any point in time. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, what he's done just, across the whole of the club has just been truly remarkable over the last 12 months. You just look at where Celtic were. This time last year, they were not just, struggling against Rangers and going out to the Champions League. It was still going to be another few weeks before we'd even chalk up our first away win of the league season. It didn't happen until we went to Pittodrie. Quite a bit into the season. It must have been our fourth away game, I think it was, by the time we actually chalked up an away win last year. But it's not even just the results, it's the performances now. You can just tell the players have really now bought into everything. The summer that they've had now, where they've really been able to spend it on the training ground, has paid dividends. You always got the impression with Postecoglou, and he said it himself, he's a training ground manager, and you can tell when he's at his happiest is when he's out on the training pitch trying to get across his ideas to the players. And I think you're beginning to see all of that coming to fruition now this season, because he's had a lot more time with them this summer, because he wasn't rushed into playing competitive games. He's facing a big acid test, on Saturday, because we're really going to find out exactly how far this team has came. And, as much as we are, impressed with how well they played, Rangers were in a European final last year. They had they've lost a couple of players, so that could have been a potentially sticky game for Postecoglou and Celtic. And he just wiped them to one side. It's like another league fixture almost, as if they're just the same as anyone else. You come to town, we'll knock you back, sort of thing. And when you look across that, and you add in the fact that the depth of the squad, and there's players on that bench who didn't even get on Saturday, who the likes of James Forrest, you would have thought would have been somebody who was still going to be a key player for us this time last year, and now he's very much on the periphery and probably isn't going to be featuring much at all outside of perhaps the League Cup, unless something was seriously wrong with injuries. And then, as you rightly say, we've got another two new boys in. Hacksaw looked fairly impressive from his little brief cameo against Ross County midweek. I think he's going to be another one who's going to... I thought he looks a very tidy player from what I've seen against Ross County. I think he'll slot in very well. And then obviously we've got the other one who's Danish international, who adds a much needed bit of physical presence in there, as well. And it's all rosy for Celtic with things like this. And you're just looking at it and you're thinking, Christ almighty, the amount of injuries we could have, and we could still put out a ridiculously strong team. Because let me put this one back to you, Russell. I mean, we're always big fans of, for example, Giacomakis on the bus, and we always bang Chaos's drum fairly loudly. Sure. I would say we were probably the most relaxed when Kyogo got injured in the first minute of that game, because we knew we had him sitting on the bench. Whereas if that had happened this time last year, we'd have been absolutely shiting ourselves.
Well, that's a good point. And that's, again, the importance of the strength and depth. Just a big shout out to Tattoo Face again, the Molotov King, putting a 199 super sticker in. Absolutely don't need to do that, mate. Much appreciated. We're giving you loads of content now, though, and it's all free, Jonathan, as you know, on the Boyce'S bus. But wee gifts like that mean the world. Thank you, pal. But Jonathan, when you're bringing on a Giacomakis for Kyogo, this is a guy who was a top scorer in Holland, top scorer in Scotland last year, and I also think is someone that in that particular fixture was a difference maker in the 21-22 campaign. I think he was massive for Celtic in the Celtic. It's amazing he's not actually scored against them yet. That's fascinating to me.
Incredible.
Because he seems to make such a difference in the fixture. All he's not done yet is put the ball in the net. He probably should have had one at the weekend, if we're being completely honest. But that's fine. But you're right. It's a great example, Jonathan, in terms of the levels of strength and depth that Kyogo, who's from another world in terms of ability, we've seen it this season. He started with a bang. Naturally, they resort to their sort of tactics.
We knew we were going to be dealing with that, though. That was for part of the course. Maybe not first minute to have ended up with one of our players, but absolutely that's what they were always going to try and do.
Well, elbows Lundstrom. I mean, his elbows up there when he lands, Jonathan. He's still got the follow through of his elbow. He's forgot to actually take his arm down. It's so deliberate. It's fucking. It just annoys me shite like that, because you do it in the first minute, and a referee's they're so consumed, Jonathan, by things like optics of, oh well, in this minute or two you can't actually make a change, etc. And it's like, oh come on, and that frustrates me, because it's like, well, do you see the challenge or not? Can you see the foul? Because it's right under your nose, referee. Like, surely, see when your elbow's in an unobvious position like that, Jonathan, and watch it back. There is a deliberate follow through where he puts it up high. Fucking annoys me. But anyway, you're absolutely spot on. I think as well, there's a bit that was excited Giacomakis is coming on. The same way when you seen Kyogo up top for the first time, fully fit, playing in the number 9 role against Rangers, you were excited by. You didn't go to despair, Jonathan, when the injury happened. You thought, oh well, take him out. Try your elbows with Giacomakis, mate. Pick on some of your own size. Sound like Roy Keane now in that tunnel. Pick on don't pick on the wee fella. With Giacomakis after that, I mean, that Sands will be having nightmares about him knocking his door in the middle of the night, Jonathan. Do you know what I mean? He looked like a rabbit in the headlights with Giacomakis. He didn't know how to benefit the doubt at one point, but Giacomakis has just been a standard shoulder barge, Jonathan. Giacomakis is laughing at the assistant ref. He's going, what's the problem here? It's not my fault he's went flying. You've seen the replay. There's absolutely nothing in it. It's just one's a specimen and one's kidding on he's a centre half, Jonathan. But yeah, what we would like to have is we're looking, Jonathan, to have that sort of strength and competition all across the park. Now, let's talk about another example of that, and I'm going to flip it right back to you. Carl Starfelt starts. He didn't have the best of games, I didn't think. He was good. He's good in phases, and then he let Kolac go for at one of the corners. Kolac headers over the bar, but we all know his strike rate has been pretty decent, so it was taking a risk, letting him have a chance. And then, of course, there was the bizarre moment where he headed the ball under absolutely no pressure at all. I don't know if that's just a wee bit of rustiness there, or is it pressure of the fixture, because we can't have that. Because the fixtures are going to ramp up in terms of pressure as we enter into this Champions League campaign. But the beauty of Starfelt, whether he be out of form, I think he's got a bit of a knee injury just now. Jens comes in, if not, looked a wee bit more composed than what Starfelt had. So again, while Starfelt's got loads of good qualities, so I'm not hanging him out to dry here, Jonathan. He does have good qualities, I think. And Ange definitely likes him. Like, proper likes him, I think, Starfelt. I think he's loath not to play him. But now you've got the option where it's not Stephen Welsh coming on, who we all want to see fulfill whatever potential he's got, but there's a nagging feeling at the back of your mind that you can't shirk, Jonathan, that he might just come up a wee bit short to be first team bona fide regular. Is that fair?
Yep, I would say so, yep.
But Moritz Gents is now the guy that comes in when Starfelt's picked up a knock. And suddenly, as you say, it gives you that wee bit more confidence, Jonathan. And suddenly it's no panic we've lost one of our centre-backs. On comes Big Jens. He looked composed. He looked all right. If he starts Tuesday, no problem.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones you can kind of go through it, with Jens for Starfelt. A lot of people would have had Jens in to begin with in the starting 11, and likewise the same with Giakoumakis over Kyogo, or playing some way of accommodating them both, because I think there's that.
Jonathan, could I just say it's Kyogo, not Kyogo.
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 We're still working on that one. We're working on Kyogo. He's still doing it. He's probably practices that in the mirror at night. Him.
I guess the Japanese hands knows.
But back to the point with Starfish, as Terry Robb likes to call him on here. I thought he did have a couple of ropey moments. I always feel he's got a bit of a mistake in him. Carl Starfelt. He always looks a little bit untidy at times. But he's defensively though. He doesn't do it. He likes to do the basics. That's what he is. He's not one that's wanting to play it out from the back. He didn't have perhaps as strong a game as he's had previously for Celtic on Saturday, but I think he probably is the first choice that Ange will go to partner with Carter Vickers at centre half when he's fit. Yep. However, obviously after listening to Ange today, it seems as if he's not going to have the option of using Starfelt tomorrow night, because I'm seeing that being discussed in the comments about who starts in that position. I believe he said he's actually going to be out for a couple of weeks when he's actually done the presser today. And so Starfelt will not be featuring. Starfelt will not be featuring tomorrow night. I don't think so. It sounds like that'll most certainly be Jens in there with Carter Vickers, which I think we're all fairly, relaxed about, as you say. I think Jens came on and did a pretty solid job, to be honest. I think there was one moment where, we're actually trying to let Morelos have a shot. Everyone's kind of backing off, and Jens is just like, oh, for fuck's sake, you didn't want to have the shot. I'll just take the ball off you. That's how much time do you want to actually have a chance at this?
That was brilliant. I mean, Jonathan, I'll tell you what as well, whilst we've covered loads of aspects of the game over the weekend, we can be a wee bit naughty now too, because the fact of the matter is that wee pudding, if he's the answer to their problems, the wee pudding's struggling, mate. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the tweet. It's a guy with a blue tick. I don't know who it is, right? Like, it must be some sort of fame, Jonathan. He's got a blue tick and he says, I decided to watch Celtic Rangers because I don't have BT Sport. He says, who's the fat guy that just came on for Rangers at the end? He can't be a footballer. I thought he'd won a ticket in a tombola to get, if it was a fan who'd get a chance to come play. I can't remember who it was. I don't know. Someone might have seen it. I think it went quite viral, the tweet. But genuinely, I'm looking at that wee pudding and I'm going, Jonathan, we're talking about Kyogo coming off for Giakoumakis. They're looking at Koachu. If he's isolated, Jonathan, he is feeding on scraps, and that's not his game.
Yeah.
But if they don't leave him on, they need to bring on the pudding. And the pudding's not got it, mate. The pudding's got the worst attitude in Scottish football history. He's got the most depreciating transfer value, not that it ever was what they made out, by the way. But it's the most depreciating, it's like a Pepsi Max. His transfer value, Jonathan, it's plummeting, mate.
Yeah.
At a serious rate of knots. He's still not even committed his future to them. Any other club he thinks that'll be in the Champions League and letting the pudding just eat all the pies. Absolute no chance, mate. So he doesn't know how lucky he is to have a fawning fan base, a gullible fan base, if you like. If it were me, they should have got rid of him in that window. But when we see guys like that coming off the bench, Jonathan, just to counter how good the Celtic subs are and the options are, Maeda being another one, Jonathan, for Abada, that I know you were touching on Abada's amazing performance. But Maeda coming on, he's another one. If Maeda had started, we'd have felt unlucky for Abada. We wouldn't be crying about it.
No.
I look at the pudding coming on for them, Jonathan, and you just think, that's just not, when you're that, I know he's done good things in Europa League and all that, but his goal record against us is shite. But when he's that out of condition, when he's that off the pace, that's a man down, Jonathan. And Do you know what? Maybe Jens strolled it because he must have been looking at Morelos going, who's this? It was embarrassing. I just wonder. I just wonder if they're we looked very detailed, Jonathan, at Celtic's transfer strategy over the summer, because that's what I think that separates Celtic fans from the rest. We don't just all happy clap, Jonathan, and everything's amazing, and it's so amazing. See, when you're with the windows open, we're going to scrutinise, and we're going to think, has he been back properly? Keep your eye on the board, give recent examples as to why we should do that, and always keep one eye on the club and hope that it keeps going in the right direction.
Yeah.
They just believe anything they're told, right? But surely this time they're going to now be at war with each other, because they have to be questioning about reinforcing that squad. Their squad, in terms of depth, didn't look anywhere near the strength and numbers that Celtic have now.
No, I think that's one of the big differences between the two sides in the race for the title, and I think Rangers fans are already beginning to get wise to the fact that their club didn't do the strengthening. Unfortunately for them, it's now too late in the day, and the transfer window has slammed shut, and they're just going to have to gripe and moan about it now until January, until they have an opportunity to try and correct that, if it is indeed possible for them to correct it by that point, because the way Celtic are going in this first half of the season, Celtic could end up running away with this, because there's just no signs at the moment of Celtic looking like they could drop any points. As there's John Duncan becoming a YouTube member. Thanks for that, John.
Mate. Thank you, pal.
Yeah, but I mean, the way Celtic are going so far this season, Russell, there's so much potential here for Celtic to go on quite a run of games and put them together, because at the moment it's hard to see who stops Celtic, and obviously it'll be a bit more challenging with European games coming up, because you're now going to have to juggle the midweek fixtures, and you're obviously going to be in extremely grueling games like we are going to be in one tomorrow night. But for me, there's no reason this Celtic team couldn't end up stringing together another really impressive run of wins. And, if that happens, then, they could be very far clear by the time they even play Rangers the next time we roll into Govan at the New Year fixture. So for Rangers, it's too bad for them. They've not done their business properly in the transfer window. We've been there before. We've seen how that story goes. From our point of view, though, Russell, I've got to say, Celtic in the transfer window, I think this time have got it pretty much spot on. Once again, in fairness to the board, and I think we have to give credit to the board when it's due, because I know we were, and we were rightly asking the questions as to whether the board would back and properly. And I would say pretty much they have. I think the only thing you could possibly levy against them was they didn't get the extra striker in that a lot of us wanted, just so we had another bit of cover there, particularly, if, for example, Kyogo had been a bit more seriously injured. I don't believe the shoulder injury is really causing him too much concern. I think he's actually back in contention tomorrow already. I'm just saying, so we've got away with one there that he's not done any serious damage. But, that could have been a bit of a message there if Kyogo had done some serious damage to his shoulder and been out for a few weeks, and we're back in that position where anything happens to Giakoumakis, we're then having to rotate the team a wee bit. But on the whole, I think, it's got to be classed as a pretty good window, doesn't it?
Jonathan, there's a couple of things that you're talking about there I want to cover with you. So the unbeaten run right now, that was us. We equalled what is the equivalent of a full league season with that victory at Saturday. That's 38 league games unbeaten. That's astonishing, mate. That's a campaign. So the proof is now there in the pudding. Not that pudding. The proof, though, is there that we can do crazy stretches that win league titles. 38 games unbeaten is title winning form. Whether it be over 2 seasons, there's 2 title winning forms, Jonathan. I think we are right now in full flow. The biggest test we're going to have in the SPFL is the team that we played on Saturday. I think we passed that test. So with the games coming up now, Jonathan, I think it's going to be one of those. The next 4 weeks, massive, right? They've got to go to Pittodrie and Tynecastle now. I know you're not allowed to talk about their fixtures because they're Rangers and stuff, but I do. It doesn't bother me. But those 2 away games, I think we could be more invested in what happens in those results. So I see Celtic carrying on this form. I just think that we will win our games, Jonathan. We'll be half an hour into a game and we'll be job done. Jobs are good in. Next. And we might be getting, our some of our kicks, mate, just out of some comedy results that could come from them in the background. I really do think
Big game for them though as well, isn't it? Because I think Regan touched on it yesterday. I think Celtic play first as well at the weekend. I think they play Livingston before they go to Pittodrie. I think they might be at Pittodrie on Sunday, whereas we play on Saturday. So they could potentially be facing an 8-point gap, even going into that game, and then you'll really start to see how our rivals fare under that type of pressure. Because you've got to remember, Celtic were the team under that type of pressure last season at this time. And managed to find answers to it. And I think those same questions are now going to get levelled across the city. And I just don't think they are going to have the answers in the same way that Ange Postecoglou and this Celtic team have had the answers for so long now, as you rightly say, a whole season unbeaten, a dossier worth of evidence to back up what Postecoglou's been doing.
That's it,
and it's one of those ones that'll be interesting to see what happens with them across the city. And I think we're all kidding ourselves on if we don't think we've got one eye over there, just potentially for a little bit of amusement, as long as, of course, they're taking care of their own business. Popcorn, exactly.
Popcorn. But on that covers that. But in terms of the window, now you're absolutely right. Was I completely overly buzzing about it midway through the window? No. I thought that some aspects of the window, I can't have it both ways, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I felt like the Cameron Carter-Vickers and the Jota deal were mandatory deals, really, as far as I'm concerned. They had to get them done. I know we didn't have an obligation to buy, but we had an obligation at the fans to buy them both, right? And that had to be done. And in my opinion is, when you take out an offer, like a deal like that, such as options to buy with set fees agreed, then that means, Jonathan, that money has to be there. You have to have proof of funds. Otherwise, you're just inventing deals that don't exist, and you're preventing Benfica from getting a far higher transfer fee, or Spurs getting a far higher transfer fee. So whilst it suited us to get a fee agreed early, we must have proof of those funds. So as far as I was concerned, that didn't come out of whatever revenue we were going to have this summer. Season tickets, more merchandising deals, more kits sold than ever, Champions League guaranteed money being the biggest one as well, and of course prize money, Jonathan, for winning the league, getting more than the rest. But when you combine all that, I'm going, well, I'm not counting Cameron Carter-Vickers in it, but then I need to be honest and go, well, that then works though for some of the signings we've made this summer. So Maeda came in, he was just under the 2 million that had to be paid. We know that we spent just under 4 million on Bernabei.
Yep.
Moritz Jens, loan, option to buy. I think that means we've had to put £4 to £5 million away for him. And then you've got Hacksaw, who we're not sure. I mean, the rumours seem to be that he was worth 6 million last year and he's down to like 2 million now. Say that's another 2 million we've put away, Jonathan. Who else have we brought in? I'm trying to go through them.
The Danish holding midfielder. I've got his name.
Abelgard. I'm not
Abelgard,
sure.
that's it. I was going to call him Obelgard, as that's no right.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's got this option to buy on or not. I can't get
It's a question mark over his deal. It seems to be very confusing all round. It seems like it's sort of loan, but then the way he's posted on Instagram makes it sound as if he's not going back to Kazan. Yeah, so it's a bit muddy, that one.
And then Celtic didn't put the word loan in their tweet, but I just think it was nearly midnight, and the whoever Celtic admin was just missed out the word, because it was season-long deal. Terry Robbs reminded me, good to have you on, Terry. Aaron Moy signed in a free transfer.
Of course, Aaron Moy, how could you forget your favourite?
But one thing that doesn't fool me, Jonathan, with transfers is putting a wee flag emoji beside their name as if like, oh, well, that makes them instantly better. I don't care about that. But now that the window's shut, absolutely agree with you. I think it has been a strong window. I like the fact Siegrist, again, another example of it. If Joe Hart, or when Joe Hart didn't play midweek, I had no issues with Siegrist starting the League Cup.
No,
in fact,
absolutely
say
not.
Joe Hart's head injury had been worse, Jonathan.
Yep.
Siegrist starts against Rangers, I'd have been happy with that. Not what I wanted, but I've done no issues with it whatsoever. None. So that's again another good sign. But yeah, I just feel that now that the window has shut, you've got the goalkeepers are pushing each other. You've brought in a left back to compete with Greg Taylor, albeit Greg Taylor's now making that competition look fanciful because his form's so good. Centre back, we wanted Starfelt to be pushed. Jens is doing that. Midfield, we needed a holding midfielder. Abelgard comes in and does that. Moy passes the ball 5 yards and is, Pirlo. So we can't lose, Jonathan, having guys like that. Hacksauce came in to beef up an already very, very strong part of the park. you know, the winger situation now, Celtics is very, very healthy. Would you have liked to forward? Probably, but sometimes you're just being a wee bit spoiled. Will we go again in January? That's the thing. January's only 4 months away, and it could all, you know, Ange might have another, you know, phase of this Ange project that he goes, now we go for this type of player, and he's gonna, you know, it's gonna be a different type of striker to the two that we've already got. And you go, fucking hell, this is brilliant. So you never know. But the recruitment Jonathan Celtic's done in the last 12 months proves how ambitious we need to consistently be at the football club to achieve the greatness that we all think we deserve, and I believe we deserve. And that's the difference. We were proactive in January, and we were proactive this summer. And we kept going to deadline day this summer, not because we were panic buying, but because we just wanted to keep. Do you want another one in there? Is there another one? Would you prefer that? You know, that's not what Celtic do. It's been the bare minimum. You can still win that. Oh, yeah, we're still better than them. Rangers didn't sign anyone, remember, after they qualified for the Champions League. If my theory of Celtic being reactionary to what they do was always right, Jonathan, Celtic wouldn't have brought anyone in. Yet we brought in 2 internationals after that fixture itself. They brought in no one. So that tells me we're now going above and beyond for the manager, but that's how it's supposed to be, Jonathan. See, when a manager earns you revenue like Ange's brought into Celtic Football Club in his first season, by that Champions League qualification, by winning the title, etc., then he deserves that chunk of that, and he deserves a willing board to go, well, what can you do at the next level up, which is obviously the Champions League? What can you do? What can you do there? We'll need to tool you up for that, obviously, because that's another rung up. Ange feels he's been tooled up, and I think the evidence that we've seen so far is, Jonathan, we have tooled up.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think we're now in a position where we're pretty confident that if anything happened to any player on any position in the park, we've got more than adequate cover to come in. And I think it's great because at the moment you could turn around and me and you could list our very own starting 11s, 1 to 11, and you could find you could have a fair number of different changes. You could easily have 4 or 5 different players that one of us might have that the other one wouldn't have. And that's just on our preferred starting 11 before you even think about all the other options and different players you could potentially bring into these positions. And I've not remember Celtic having this much strength and depth in a very long time. Even under Rodgers, I don't remember Celtic being this strong. And you know, with the depth of their squad, but when they're facing a Champions League campaign. So I've got to say, I think the board have done well in this window, and in fairness to them, I think they've done well in January as well. So
Me too.
Hopefully, I think there has been now some signs of change at Celtic as a football club that they've all seemed to have bought into. I guess the time will tell on this one whether this just turns out to be fleeting and it's all just a case that the players will be getting sold next summer and then we're buying buying bargain basements from Kilmarnock or whatever else, and Ange has to try pull them all back up. But that conversation's for another day. At the moment, we have a very special team, I think, together. And you know what, Russell? I think this team is going to do some damage in the Champions League, and I can't say I've ever felt this confident about a Celtic team at home in a very long time. I don't remember ever feeling overly confident with Rodgers' team in the Champions League that much. But, you know, this time round, I think Celtic tomorrow...
Sound it.
You know, because we know where we're going. We're going right back. The last time I felt this confident was... the Martin O'Neill era. but honestly, I look at the Celtic team and I just think, you know what? This team believes in it. The fans believe in it. There's just something special about it at the moment, and I just think it's going to get us some big results in the Champions League this time around. My gut tells me we are not going to be on the receiving end of hiding after hiding like we were previously when we've been in the group stages of this competition. I expect Celtic to go in there and really give a game to a few teams. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to watching it.
A lot of confidence in the group chat as well that we're not on a buy to sell policy anymore. And I like that. Let's hope so. regular viewer Andy C, he only seems to be able to comment to us on Twitter, Jonathan. I know you have a good few interactions with him.
Yeah.
No idea who he is, but he's always talking highly of the bus content on Twitter and giving us RTs and all that. So a big thank you. And he wanted me to bring up today, he sees comparisons with Arsene Wenger, Jonathan. Both Ange and Arsene came from the J League, and both brought in a completely new style of football to their respective leagues. I've been thinking about it. So they both brought in a tranche of new signings that were unknown to us. Now, Ange used the J League itself. Arsene Wenger, though, of course, used his knowledge of all the young French guys, didn't he? And he brought in, he was bringing in an Elka,
Henri, Perez
a bit later, but Petit, who was it else, like Gramondi, players like that. But yeah, I think it's very interesting that, you just never know in football where you might find a real gem. And I suppose with the SPFL, we get really frustrated, Jonathan, when our league gets looked down upon. Vieira, of course, Egyptian king.
Vieira, of course. Bloody hell. The main man, Patrick Vieira. How did you miss him? Roy Keane's sworn enemy.
Yeah, you could have said his name too. But what I will say as well, maybe it's important as well that we look back and we go, when you see Sky, for example, if they're putting up the wrong name for a team like Jim Goodwin, fucking Doncaster Rovers manager or something, instead of saying Aberdeen manager, we get a bit wound up and we take it personally and we feel our product's getting derided a wee bit and it's been viewed, it's getting called a farmers league and stuff. Is it maybe fair that we now, with the evidence we've now got of what Ange has been able to achieve so far, and hopefully there'll be more to come, isn't it, enough evidence for us now to start going, in the future, I'm not saying we need to go back to the J League, Jonathan, but we need to be scouring the whole world, because what we've found with Ange as well is such an cost-effective model as well. Ange just came in, easy to deal with, easy to get in from the J League. I don't think his wages will be making anyone's eyes water, in the boardroom, Jonathan. Well, probably not them. But also then you look at the knowledge he's got and the players that he's going to bring. I mean, these are conversations I'm sure that would have been had before. So with all that in mind, I mean, it just reminds you that, Arsene Wenger was derided, came and revolutionised English football. You got everyone on different diets at Arsenal that they hadn't seen before. And he's got a Scottish team playing a completely different style of football now to what we're used to seeing in this country as well. His own version of the revolution, Jonathan. And what they've both done is bring a big spade of recruits with them from either the league they were in before or all corners of the globe that people hadn't heard of. And look at the impact that they all went on to have. Do you like that comparison, the Wenger and Postecoglou one from Andy?
Yeah, I think it's quite a good one. To be fair, when you sit and look at it, if you were looking at it from when Wenger came into Arsenal, there's no two ways about it. Manchester United were top dogs in England, and Wenger came in with his own philosophies, was able to sign in a lot of players, and with that in mind, he was then able to put together a challenge, and he was really causing Ferguson and Manchester United a lot of problems, and he was still winning championships in around the same sort of years where Man United were going on to win trebles. So it became a bit more of a ding-dong battle in England that Wenger managed to initiate against what for me is the best manager that has been seen in the British game in Sir Alex Ferguson. So I think what Wenger did there was extremely impressive. But you look at what Postecoglou did, and it's equally so. There's a lot of comparisons that can be made, because you've got to remember Celtic were so far off the pace when Postecoglou's came in, very much similar to the fact that they were second fiddle, much like Arsenal were to Manchester United back when Wenger came in. Celtic were in a very similar position when Postecoglou first came in. Postecoglou had to rebuild the full team. He had to pretty much bring his own stamp to it and completely change pretty much everything at the club at that time, because there was pretty much nothing right with Celtic when Postecoglou came in. There was not very much you could turn around and say, that could really stay the same, and he only needs to make a wee tweak to this or that. It was pretty much right from the ground upwards. But he's managed to get everyone buying in. He's managed to find gaps in the market in terms of the Asian market, which I don't think Celtic have really fully exploited previously, and it's probably something you do need somebody who just has a bit more of a nous and an inside knowledge of that league, and it's something we've never had before. And you're now beginning to really see just how good the players are from there. But I think, Postecoglou has proven, even outside of that, he's got an eye for a player, regardless of whether they come from the J League where he originated from or whether they came from, elsewhere. Like, you look at Matt O'Reilly, for example, who's an absolutely outstanding bit of business, and I never really touched on him earlier. But he was, incredibly impressive with his 3 assists in the game against Rangers on Saturday. And you just look at, everything that, Postecoglou's been building with this team, and the eye he has for a player. It's very similar to what Wenger's done. He's really just kind of taken the club and taken it in his own direction, and it's got the fans all buying into it. And, they're both breeding success, and Postecoglou for me is one of these guys where you're kind of scratching your head and you're thinking, how is he went under the radar for so long at 57 years old, and nobody in Europe's given him a chance until now? And it's like Celtic have won a watch with even having him in the building, and you're just looking at it and you're hoping you can keep him for a long term. And I know we obviously had the conversation about his contract situation last week. I know you followed that up over the weekend on one of the shows. I think it was on the post-match.
You've been watching it, Jonathan. Fucking hell.
I know. I've been in touch with it. Yes, I've been keeping an eye on it. It was very good. But yeah, I mean, when you look, like, yeah, well, I was mainly listening to it for Terry, obviously not for your input, but. He doesn't even know if I'm telling the truth now or not.
Oh no, you are telling the truth, definitely.
But yeah, I think when you're looking back at it with Postecoglou, I think he's going to end up going down as being one of the most memorable Celtic managers, I think, of our lifetime. I think when he decides to call it time up at Celtic, I think we're going to only have fond memories to look back on him. I mean, he's going to be held, I think, Russell, in the same sort of ilk as a Martin O'Neill type character by the time it's all said and done, because that's what I think he's building, a team that could end up being something that we are going to be extremely proud of even 10, 15, 20 years after he's left the building.
Let's hope so, and let's hope that whatever it is he does leave, it's not just a legacy, Jonathan, but it's a platform that we keep going for. Now, Monty had got in touch over the weekend on one of the shows where we're just feeling the love too much, but the Monday Club can deal with the more serious topics of conversation. Jonathan, you've got a level head on your shoulders. In fact, look at that. Chris Fraser says Jono knows his stuff. Fucking hell. Yeah, certainly knows it better.
Another Terry Robb fan, clearly.
A few songs sang at the weekend, Jonathan. We know the ones like Super Trooper and all that, getting words changed. It's each to their own. Folk can say freedom of speech. I get all that, Jonathan. And fair enough, it's no for me, though, singing about deceased Rangers managers, players. You know what? It's just not my thing, Jonathan. I'm interested in what everyone's take is on that sort of thing, because, see, for me, it's like, I remember going with my girlfriend at the time to the Leipzig game it was. We were in one of the pubs just around the ground. Can't remember which one. And they were all singing about Fernando Rixa, and I just fucking put the drink down and left, because it was our first time going to Celtic Park, and I just thought, I've been bigging this up for ages, and now like they're singing about, someone who's just, I just think it's a great reflection on it. I know loads of folk feel like you should be able to sing whatever it is you want, and that's fair enough. Each to their own. I am intrigued though to see what the sort of consensus is, because from my point of view, I felt it was the sort of thing I would have associated the other way around, or is that just wishful thinking, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's one of those ones. I'm just going to say Danny O'Malley. Yeah, you got it up anyway. I just was about to tell you Danny O'Malley became a YouTube member because I knew you were in full spleen there. I didn't know if you'd missed it, but you hadn't missed it anyway. But back to the actual point there with the singing. It's just not something I've got any time for, to be honest. It's not something I think. Nah, it's not for me either. I just think there's lines you just don't cross when it comes to things like that, and there's no need for it, whether it's Celtic fans singing about Rickson or whoever else might be singing songs. I think it was Hearts fans posted it about Petrov. It's happened down the years, and there's just so many people that want to make up ridiculously silly, stupid songs that don't really add anything to the overall atmosphere. It just creates a toxicity that's not actually needed for these sorts of games, and I just don't really see the need for that. I feel like there's a line sometimes in football, but I think sometimes football fans don't really see that there is a line, and they feel like it's almost carte blanche when they go to games and they can kind of sing about whatever they like, and there shouldn't be any sort of repercussions. But for me, I think when you're starting to mock people for having serious illnesses or indeed passing away or anything like that, then you've gone way, way, way below the belt as far as I'm concerned. And I just don't feel that that's something that we as Celtic fans really need. And thankfully, I don't think the majority of it were really involved in it. I never really caught it too much
No, it wasn't.
when
It wasn't a
when I
majority
watched the
thing.
game.
Far from
No.
it.
But
Far,
at the
far
same
from
time,
it.
it should still be getting stamped out from the grounds. If you ask me, it's something that doesn't belong there at all. Doesn't belong anywhere near a football ground, or indeed anywhere for that matter.
Does he feel like us? Does he feel like us? Does he feel like my mindset, Jonathan, goes to, singing about Walter Smith being dead or Davy Cooper being dead? That just does he compute with me? And it doesn't feel normal. One thing I was actually thinking about is funny because, well, it's not funny, but you know what I mean? It's peculiar because, see, actually, the night before the game, I went to the shop to obviously get, some ammunition for the weekend, so we say, Jonathan, some goodies. And obviously I was listening to a few Celtic songs, get myself in the mood for the morning after. I was looking forward to it. And you know what I remember thinking? What the fuck? I wonder what the other teams sing about in the morning. The morning before the game or the night before the game. Like, we've got so many songs. So many. It's like its own music scene is Celtic songs. You know what I mean? It's like its own genre. That's what I was looking for there. It's like its own genre. But, sadly it became a songbook briefly, and it was a brief thing. I know the IRA stuff's coming more and more into it as well. Where am I on that? I'm quite ambivalent to it all. I have no strong feelings in the IRA. Certainly not enough to be singing about them. If folk want to sing about them, that's their gift, I suppose. If they're not doing it in a way that's, being, I hate the word sectarian, being racist to anyone or any of that, then if they want to sing about, the politics, we're happy. I'm all for a Palestinian flag being flown. So if people want to sing about the IRA, they feel that strongly about that. It's their gift, in my opinion. It's not something I'm passionate about either way. I don't know enough about it, so forgive my ignorance. But definitely when it's when it's chants about people who've passed away and stuff, I just I didn't get that Jonathan. But we'll not dwell on it. It was just an observation. Monty had made it to me, and I had decided that we'll talk about it on the Monday. But it's not one that we want to overly dwell on. It's not one, as I say. I mean, I think we live in a world now where it's each to their own, I suppose, and it's up to them. But I don't want to see any faux offence if you're then hearing stuff coming from other corners of grounds, Jonathan, about our greats, because you can't have your cake and eat it as far as I'm concerned. I would prefer it if we rose above it and we weren't associated with it. If other people want to think different, that's absolutely their gift. That's fine. But it was an observation that was made. And when I thought about it, I thought, that is worth. I want to know what folks think about stuff like that. Are they fans of stuff like that? Is there like quite a growing number of our fans that kind of like that sort of provocative sort of singing and sort of taboo subjects being sung about? If there is, wow, that is a completely different wave of Celtic fans that I was particularly conscious of. We will move on though, Jonathan, because we better preview the European champions, Jonathan. Our first European game in 5 years. And not European game in any tournament, but in the Champions League, of course. We announced our arrival by welcoming the holders to paradise. They're a team that have had their name, they've been synonymous with the tournament since day one, let's be honest. But of late in particular, they are far and away the most dominant Champions League side, by a long distance. I think there's them and there's Liverpool, I would say, that are the real two sort of dominant forces. Then you'd be looking at like a Bayern Munich. They're always over the last sort of 10, 15 years. But Real, in fact, in my opinion, are far and away. They are ahead. Now, What I will say is this fixture 5 years ago under Brendan Rodgers, the equivalent of it 6 years ago in Rodgers' first season, that was Manchester City, a free spending one. And I went into that with quite a lot of confidence, a bit like I'm feeling today. We got a 3-3 draw that night, Jonathan, against all odds.
We did, yep.
I know for a fact that when it comes to Real Madrid, they're a different entity themselves, Jonathan. As I say, in terms of quality, they put out Man City when people thought they were going to go out. But I've got a feeling we can upset them tomorrow. We can get at them early, Jonathan. That is the key. But we can't take anything away from the side that we're playing. We need to show complete respect in sense of the football and aspects of Real Madrid. They are a fantastic team, Jonathan. They have experience all over the park, but they've also got guys like Camavinga, Vinicius Juniors, who represent their future and their pacey future. So this isn't quite the dinosaur team that maybe people are hoping, wishfully thinking they can label with Real Madrid, Jonathan. I think they will be a lot more intense than perhaps what we thought, or perhaps what, because Celtic's such a young team. And then, of course, when you think of Real Madrid, you instantly think of someone like Luka Modric now, Toni Kroos. And because they're mid-30s, you just think, they're all teams like that. Benzema, they're all like that.
Yeah.
But they're not really, Jonathan. This is going to be a test like we have not faced. We have to be realistic. But even when I am trying to be as realistic as I possibly can, and I'm trying not to be biased, I think Celtic can get something from tomorrow. I know my heart's telling me that, but honestly, I'm now like, my head's telling me it as well, Jonathan. I'm going to be honest. My head's beginning to tell me we can do something tomorrow special.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very hard to always explain with Celtic Football Club. There's moments in time where you just kind of feel like there's something building and there's going to be something special that's going to come out of a game like tomorrow night. Real Madrid, for me, is box office. It doesn't get any bigger than Real Madrid. They're the most successful club in this competition that we are playing in tomorrow night. They're almost a level above anybody else that plays in this competition in terms of stature. They're, seen by many as the biggest club side in world football, Real Madrid. And we've waited a long time to get a crack at Madrid. This is a one-off opportunity, perhaps. You don't know the next time we will play Real Madrid. We've had to wait a long time to get them in European competition, and we could be waiting a long time again before we're drawn against them going forward. So you've got to be able to seize the moment when it comes tomorrow. And Celtic are now in a position where they are in scintillating form. I can't remember the last time Celtic went into a Champions League game in better form. If you're looking even at just at the past week, scoring 9 against Dundee United in the league, wiping the floor with Ross County with about 9 changes, I think it was, on Wednesday night, and then you take apart your rivals on Saturday and your nearest title challengers. You rip them to shreds. The team is riding an absolute wave of momentum at the moment. One thing's for sure, I think, tomorrow, Russell, and Regan touched upon it on Sunday, was the fact that Carlo Ancelotti has yet to beat Celtic at Celtic Park in a competitive European game, which was a very interesting stat, and it wasn't one I was actually aware of. But if there's one thing I'll guarantee you, and when Ancelotti's been to Celtic Park previously, it was all with AC Milan, I believe. One was the 2-1 game where McDonald scores in the last minute, and the other 2 games were 0-0. And then that was Strachan's second season, first season in the Champions League group stages, knocked out in the second leg when Kaká scored that goal. And the other one was also a 0-0 under the old Martin O'Neill era in his final season. One thing I'm quite happy to put on the record is there's no danger this is finishing 0-0 tomorrow night. This is going to be free-flowing, attacking football. This is going to be goals. This is going to be high drama. This is going to be the ultimate game of whether or not Celtic can mix it, playing Ange ball at the top or not. Because I don't think, if you've heard any of Postecoglou's words today, that he is about to, in any way, shape, or form, adapt his style too much. He might well change it slightly when they're not on the ball, but he's not going to just turn around and be like, you know what, lads, this time we're just going to pack the box and we're going to try and do what Neil Lennon did against Barcelona 10 years ago, and we'll try and hit them on the break and hope we get a bit of luck and hope Joe Hart has the game of his life. No. And Postecoglou is going to go there. And, you know, tomorrow he's going to try and go for the throat.
Meet them at halfway line, mate.
He's going to go for he's going to go for the throat. He's going to try and do what he did against Rangers, I think, at the start. And I think he's going to try and really start strongly and see if we can give Real Madrid a scare. And I think we will.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think we can. Ryan Taylor says it's his birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday for tomorrow, Ryan. But he's saying we will win. He could feel it in the air on one of those special nights at Paradise. Well, it is nearly 10 years ago since we got that other famous result against a certain other Spanish club, Jonathan, that I am representing tonight. That was a bit of a dig at me.
Very well chosen out T-shirt. You've planned that, haven't you?
Yeah, I thought it was being funny. No one picked up on it earlier. But you know what? 10 years ago, it was my birthday, Jonathan. It was 125th. I share my birthday with Celtic as I only found out when I was like 21. I don't know how we'd fucking not even noticed that before. But anyway, I share my birthday with Celtic. So it was 125 for them. I was probably 125 as well. But basically, we beat Barcelona that night. So Ryan, I would know the vibe that you're going to have, my man. That'd be brilliant. And hope you have a great day tomorrow as well, pal. But let's hope your night tomorrow is even better. A lot of positivity coming in. Rooster, he feels we could do with a little more negativity. So 2-0 tomorrow, respectful but realistic. Thanks for that, Rooster.
Is that Mark Kearney under a different name now? So I did see him on Sunday. He was very reluctant to give a prediction. I think most of us seem to be fairly optimistic. Mark's always somebody who keeps his feet on the ground, though, and I appreciate that on the bus. He didn't want to get too carried away and start reaching for the stars quite yet, and maybe with good reason. But you know, when I'm looking at it tomorrow, I think the optimism is there, and I think the support as well, Russell, have a huge part to play in whatever happens. You know, tomorrow night, I think the supporters are going to be absolutely critical. This is a case tomorrow night where we aren't just welcoming Real Madrid and thinking, oh, great to see you guys. Oh, it's so lovely. You finally came over to Celtic Park. So nice to have you in the building. I think it is now time to turn Celtic Park back into the fortress it once was and really try and create that intimidating atmosphere from minute one. And you know, treat it like it's almost a derby game, if you like. You know, and you know, the result can happen. It absolutely can. I think the fans need to believe in it, and I think they do believe in it, which I think is a big difference from where we were the last time we were in the Champions League group stages. Because for me, when the fans have that belief and they're able to give the team that little bit extra, and I think the fact that it is Real Madrid and it's been so long since we last played them in a competitive game, Celtic Park atmosphere tomorrow night is going to be like nothing I don't think we've seen before in a very long time. I think it's going to be extremely special to be watching that one. And, you know, for all the ones that are lucky enough to have tickets, it's going to be a memory that will live with you, I think, forever, particularly if Celtic were to get the result. And, you know, there's just something about it. There's something about it, and I can't quite put my finger exactly on it because, you know, if you were to look at this game and play it 100 times over, Real Madrid would be expected to win it, you know, 90 odd times out of 100, maybe 95 times out of 100. But there's just something about a nagging feeling in me that just says to me, Celtic are going to get a result. I'm actually on the same prediction as Regan, which is quite funny because I think me and Regan are both still top of the predictions league on the bus, and both of us actually have the same prediction for tomorrow night, and that is that Celtic will win the game 2-1. And I was saying this before Regan put it out on Sunday. So I just feel like there's something very special building at Celtic. And you know what? Even if the worst is to happen and we don't win, it's Real Madrid. It's not going to define this group, Russell. Let's make that clear as well. In some ways.
You say that though, Jonathan. I'm going to push back on that. I disagree. You can't say a game doesn't define the group, because if we win it, then it absolutely defines the group, because it's 3 points that no one, the other teams that want that second spot, Leipzig and Shakhtar, are unlikely to achieve themselves. And suddenly you can then look at any other sort of maybe drop point in a game and go, what about those 3 points at Real Madrid? That's what's got us through. So it's easy to say it won't be defined by that. It won't be defined if we get beat, Jonathan. But believe you me, if we get a win against Real Madrid, that defines the group. That will be the definitive result of them all. So I think there's a bit of us protecting our own feelings with that one because we're going, oh, well, it doesn't matter if we get beat. But, and that's fine. I mean, we're entitled to do that. But the reality is, if we were to win, it would be the most definitive out the 6 results because it's 3 points the rest won't get.
Yeah, no, I take your point. That was maybe poorly worded on my part, but yes.
You're not the only one to say it.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to lose, then you've still got the opportunities of playing the other teams. That's really what I was getting at, and you've got the opportunities there where you're playing your Shakhtar and your Leipzig, which will probably end up determining who finishes second in the group. Because as much as I've got confidence that Celtic are going to win tomorrow, I'm not saying Celtic are going to win the group. I'm not quite that confident yet. Maybe a few more 9-0s from Postecoglou, they might have me believing that that's possible. But at this stage, I think Celtic are building something. I think the whole team, is really riding a wave of momentum, as I say, and there's nothing really that's giving me a massive cause for concern in terms of us going into this game that's making me think, oh Christ, I'm not liking the look of this, or Real Madrid are going to exploit us in this certain area of the pitch because we've not strengthened it properly. I mean, if we were to flip it, Russell, and look at this in a way of where is these sort of areas you think Real Madrid might try and target? Where could we get exploited? What sort of area would you be looking at as somewhere Real Madrid might look at and think that's where we could get some joy if we target this player?
Well, I think undoubtedly they'll be looking to try and hunt us out wide. We're going to be playing with the likelihood because of his form. Abada can't be dropped for Maeda, albeit I think probably 2 weeks ago, Ange would have, if he was forecasting, he would have probably predicted he would have played Maeda in this fixture, but I don't think you can now. And I think Abada and Jota, let's be honest, Jonathan, defensively is not there. There's not really so much there. I think our fullbacks will be targeted, and I think that's where Real Madrid have their highest levels of pace. And I think we're a wee bit vulnerable defensively, even in the fullback area, if I'm honest. I think Rangers identified Juranovic as the weak link out the back four. The amount of crosses that Barisic got in first half. It's easy to forget about them when you win 4-0, but there was plenty. Real Madrid will have watched that game. They'll have seen that tactic, so it wouldn't be surprised me if they took a bit from that. But I also think they're a side, Jonathan, they'll say Celtic needs to adapt to us. We'll just play a normal game. We're not targeting anywhere about Celtic. We're going to, that's the thing. And Ange is basically going in there into a gunfight, without, the same sort of guns that Real Madrid have. They're, unfortunately, as much as we would love them to be. But he's going to take the exact same attitude that they do. That is the thing. He's going to, no, they need to adapt to us. And Real Madrid say, well, no, they need to adapt to us. And what you then get, and it's been the first time I've said this in a while, Jonathan, you get a slobber knocker. And that is what is coming. I think we could be looking at a slobber knocker this week. It's going to be one of those games. I think people forget what our European campaign was like last year. It was fucking bonkers, off the scale, madness. I think we're going to start with that. We've went, as much as the team's better now, we've also went up a huge rung in terms of the competition we're now in. I expect similar to last year. I think we could qualify from the group, but I think we could pinch points off any team in the group. And I think any team in the group could take points off us. It's going to be nuts. I do think there will be goals tomorrow, Jonathan. If I was to bet, I would probably say 2-2. I think and that would be a classic if we got that. An absolute classic. And a brilliant point to take. But I wouldn't settle for it just yet, Jonathan. Go in there and gamble. Let's win. Anyway, it's been great fun on the Monday Club. We look forward to coming back for some post-match pish tomorrow night. You coming on tomorrow night, Jonathan?
Not sure about that. Is Terry going to be on?
Yeah, Terry will be on.
Well, maybe I'll consider it. I'll maybe speak to Terry and see if he wants me.
Yeah, anyway.
We have a bit of a Danny McGrain, Brendan Rodgers sort of thing, we have to sit each other down and see if he still wants me.
Yeah, Jonathan, there's always be a job for you, mate, apparently. It's Danny McGrain. That never happened. Anyway, we will let you go on that note. Bring on the Real Madrid tomorrow night, and we'll catch you after the game for some post-match pish. Thanks to everyone in the comments. That is what makes the Boyce'S bus work so well. Thank you to our new members who have joined. Thank you to Tattoo Face for the donation, and just cheers to you all for continuing to get us so many crazy numbers. I think, Jonathan, the last count we had 17,000 views in our last 7 days, which is going to be enhanced again by the amount of people watching. So thank you so much, guys. Have a brilliant evening. If you're going to the game, enjoy it. Sing for your souls. Sing for Celtic and hope that we get the result. And if you are about tomorrow, feel free to jump on the bus. We'll be here from about 10. See you.
See ya. His comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now. And you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.